And welcome back, esports fans, once again to the PCS. I am still Pyrotechnics. He is still Clement. We got 2 more games to go, and I think they definitely have some serious banger potential. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors. They are CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. All right, Clement, this one is going to be very important. Machi take to the Rift once again, and they're facing off against Impunity, who have had what can only be described as a rough go of things of late.
Very, very rough. They're here trying to avoid a 5-game losing streak after they won the first one on. And, you know, Impunity was our 6th place team in spring, so they definitely don't want to be that far behind. Meanwhile, Machi just strutting their stuff. G-Mian gets to showcase his Akali, which has been banned away for the most part of this split. And they also show off their orange cat, which I do want to see again. You know, probably not a great idea to have a cat during ban pick. You could definitely pick you something unwanted there, but I love my cat, so where is he?
Yeah, we might have to grab mine maybe a little bit later. We'll get cat cams going all around, but maybe after the games. Impunity Esports on the opposite side. As you mentioned, looking to stave off a 5-game losing streak. They are Top King, Epic, Moonblack, Blaze, and Smurf. And yeah, Impunity just have been... They seem like they've been off kilter lately. A lot of question marks, I think.
Yeah, and we will have to see if Moonblack can bring something back. So far, he's had a great Heimerdinger game, but everything else has failed. The Silas, he's been solo killed over in lane multiple times by his opponent, especially on the Lissandra pick. While on the other hand, G-Mian, I feel like he has a lot more sway in this meta. There's a lot more tempo picks for him to go to, and this is someone who likes to play fast. So if I'm just looking at the champion pools right now, Moonblack has to prove that he has a viable viable second champion, not even third, second champion.
Yeah, he's
after the Heimer.
Right, he's had trouble on everything after the Heimer. So that is the question mark for this team. Can they find a pick that suits Moonblack and works a little bit more for the meta? He's still able to put out damage. I mean, look at those DPM numbers. He's still kind of keeping his team, at least to some extent, afloat. But dying too often, not necessarily playing it up, and yet there is that Heimerdinger ban that you expect. Machi Esports removing it.
What I want to see out of Impunity is an earlier pick onto Ezreal. I feel like Impunity's best setup is actually to go for very aggressive topside early games. Top King has still been holding his own throughout most games, while, you know, Smurf has had a bit of trouble in the laning phase. So play your weak side, bottom, pick something that has scaling potential and that's actually in the meta, like an Ezreal, a little bit earlier in the draft phase, and then give a counter pick to Top King. So that's kind of how I see Impunity. That I feel like it should be very evident that's how they should play the game, but so far they haven't really been going for that. They've been playing kind of sometimes weak side top, which is kind of baffling to me, and the rest of the map hasn't really been doing so hot. So I want to see if they can change their draft up a little bit. Looking at the picks here, it's definitely going to be a Xin Zhao. I know you want
left Akali open
Let's
again.
go.
They left Akali open again for G-Mian.
Against Moonblack, you know.
Unless you want to take this, yeah. I don't know,
maybe
man.
you have the Akali, please?
You have to hope.
I like the start of this draft for sure. I think Thresh is just such a nice pick. You can play weak side, strong side, you can roam with it, you can do whatever. So this is definitely what I want to see out of them. If they have this pick, it also forces away a lot of bans if Machi X want to deny the Aphelios. So getting this one in is great. The Trundle is an interesting pick. You pretty much only see this against Xin Zhao, and even then, I'm not a huge fan of just picking Trundle to face off versus Xin Zhao. This is a champion that does not function against a lot of compositions and does not work for a lot of compositions. You have to be playing something like a poke. You have to have a big solo tank to actually get extra stats out of the King's Tribute there. So we'll see how they flex it, but so far Impunity definitely look like they want to have an early presence out of Epic, even though Moonblack hasn't been playing that much early aggressive mid laners.
We'll see what he's got in his pocket as G-Mian does pick up the Akali. He's been kind of spoiled on the drafts today. Machi looking for a second win. If they're able to take down Impunity once again. There's the Aphelios. Should be locked in for Blaze to complete that pretty solid lane. Very popular. High priority to grab the Aphelios Thresh in particular.
Okay, so I like what the draft has been for Impunity so far. They are at least finally leaving the solo lanes a bit later to get those counter picks in the top side. It looks like a pretty clear pretty clear signal here that they're likely going to be playing weak side in the bottom. Just keep that scaling. Don't put too much effort in getting action there. While on the other hand, Machi, this is clearly another snowball composition that they want to run again. If G-Man gets a couple of kills, they can just lead that into whatever. Machi X probably going to go for the Ezreal at this phase. This is Atlan's safest champion, and we'll see what comes out of the top. Once again, they are going to be forced to reveal a blindside top laner, and so far Lee Kai has shown a couple of champions, but this time around he doesn't have the Gwen. The Renekton's also banned away. Maybe he goes for the Mundo, but it feels a little bit flat if Machi only have that single snowball point on the map.
I think they can go for the set again. I honestly really liked what I saw with Lee Kai when it came down to the team fighting phase. Impunity will go for the Lulu lock-in. Okay. Some interesting protection here. That Ezreal, as you mentioned, kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, I feel like Lee Kai's set was really good.
Yeah, I agree. I almost just forgot about the set since it only happened today. Yeah, like the set would be a good setup champion. Has that displacement to take people away. And honestly, Set doesn't really have that many counters, especially with a Renekton off the table as well. I think Set's pretty safe take here.
Ooh,
Camille on the flip side.
Options.
Camille gives him a lot more pick.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one through one for sure. But I'm pretty certain that Top King will have something here. I would not be surprised if Top King just slams down another Aurelia or Fiora.
Oh, please.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, Impunity. Do it. Smurf's asked Coach, can we do this? Yeah, oh, you see the head nod. Come on. Let's go. Ah, okay.
Kenchi.
Kench. That's going to be the Kench. Locked in last. Oh, boy.
This is 11.13 Kench, though, so a lot of the buffs have not actually came through on this champion. He's still a huge lane bully, and we have seen the go-to items is pretty much Frostfire Gauntlet and also the Anathema's Chains. Very cost-efficient items coming in at the early. But if we look at the number differences between 11.13 and 11.14, they are so different. I'm not sure this guy's playable on this patch, to be honest.
Yeah, it does seem a little early. I you know, when they hovered it, I was like, and then I looked at the patch and was like, I don't know, Clement. It's clearly something that they've been thinking about, but I don't know. Impunity, I liked what they were doing. I would have loved to see that Aurelia top. Give Top King something he can just full-on carry on. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, at the very least, at least they're going to get some extra protection onto Aphelios, and Blaze can get them out of hairy situations. But judging by this composition, they have definitely indexed super hard into just going front-to-back teamfight comp. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think for me, this Impunity draft is pretty decent. They get Moonblack on something that can't really fail. Like, I don't think you can solo kill a Lulu. That's not going to happen, right? Please. And then they also have the counter pick for top.
You say that. Yeah. I mean, they are trying to play safe. I look at this comp and I'm like, in an earlier meta, I'm like, okay, cool. This is the protect the Aphelios comp. I feel like it can still very much be that. But we'll see how well the team fighting works out as Impunity look to try and snap their losing streak. Machi looking to go 2-0 on the day as we take to Summer's Rift once again here in the PCS. And I think Machi Esports are going kind of pretty much tried and true with their composition. I like that they've given themselves options. That Camille pickup was pretty bold. And they now have a lot of pick potential.
We're going to be taking a look at the runes right here. Camille not going to be going for early trades against something like the acquired takes. So just going to be picking up the Grasp of the Undying. Same thing coming out from Top King. Love that approach velocity just to make sure he can follow up on the Tongue Lash. And we should talk a little bit about the Tahm Kench changes. one of the big things is that he does get his stun in a lot easier. You can get acquired taste stacks just off the Q now after the tongue lash. And another big thing is his W, which is the change that really allows him to play more into the top lane. After a 1.2 delay, you actually just emerge out of the ground. It has about 1200 range on level 1, and you do get a knockup plus stun on it. So it is pretty handy. It's a lot more dueling potential compared to the old Kench in a solo lane. However, the Devour has been moved to level 6. You can't really protect your AD carry until you get your ultimate, and that has sort of been the big changes coming into it.
Yeah, that's why we are, of course, seeing the Tahm Kench more as a solo laner, even then as a support in many cases. And again, this is patch 11.13, so the buffs after the fact have not quite come through. And, you know, I can report, as a top lane player myself, Clement, playing against Tahm Kench, really annoying.
He's definitely a stat-checking champion.
Yeah.
There's not much mechanics or not much... You can't really outplay Tahm Kench. He sticks onto you, he slows you, and then he just auto-attacks you to death. There's very little skill involved in it, I would say. It's mainly just lane manipulation.
Are you
and you can see Tahm King knows that.
Are you saying Tahm King is playing a no-skill champ? That way he's flashing
He's a
Yasuo
stat checker.
emotes? Yeah.
Basically what happens against Tahm Kench is you call a gank and you kill him, or he just kind of pushes you in and you guys farm it out. That's pretty much it. He can be a really big bully, but at the flip side, champions like this, they also have a distinct lack of ability to escape. You could say that, you know, now he does have a dash, but that is on a 1.5 second channel. It's a very, very long channel. So it doesn't really help you out that much. Top King, however, is still going to stay safe. And in the meantime, Moonblack does have a great matchup against the Akali early.
Yeah, Moonblack's going to be pretty happy about this one because he has just had such a rough time in lane. Now, obviously, that calculus changes a little bit as the levels do. But for the time being, Moonblack very far forward, pushing up and just dishing out so much poke onto Jimmy with that Glitter Lance. Back to the Tahm Kench point as well. I do like that. I mean, since this rework, too, it has kind of brought back some memories because I used to have some friends who did some interesting cheese, Clement. They used to do attack speed stacking Tahm Kench. I'll tell you about that in a minute because I think Moonblack might be in danger of a gank if Gemini wants to be so bold. He's not going to go for it. But yeah, I would see like a Ginsu's Rageblade Tahm Kench. It used to be a thing, I swear.
I definitely believe you. I've seen it before. He gets extra damage out of the passive, the acquired taste stacks. But this time around, a lot of it is to the healing part of it. The tongue lash, he does get just base healing on 11.14, which is a huge deal that he doesn't get on 11.13. Lekai definitely has pointed out where the ward has gone towards, and Top King finds himself in a dire situation. Oh, he gets interrupted.
That's the problem. It's such a delay. You can interrupt it. He does get his thick skin on, but forced to flash away early. And, it is just such a telegraphable play that can't really be easily stopped. So you called it, that it's really just all about getting that gank early, or you're just going to be forced to farm it out. He can sustain well enough to probably pick this wave up. Yeah, he's going to be able to do that. But Top King might be playing a little more weak side. Meanwhile, Jimmy is still taking a lot of poke. Moonblack is just relentless with his Glitter Lance.
This is definitely expected. There's not much you can do as an Akali. If you try to go on to a Lulu, she will just polymorph you and you don't even get any damage off. So it's going to be a very tough early game for Jimian on this one. But in the rest of the lanes, they're actually doing quite fine. Lekai is still doing okay, and once she gets that Divine Sunderer into the Ravenous Hydra, she should still be able to split push against Top King. And I really hope that Top King realizes what he's gotten himself into. On 11 point... Oh, here comes the gank.
We'll talk about it in a minute because Gemini's come down for the gank. Not going to be able to find too much. Yeah, it really is an interesting pick, and it still leaves me scratching my head just a little bit because it isn't quite that super strong, almost must-pick Tahm Kench of 11.14.
Yeah, what he's missing is you actually don't get acquired taste damage on your Q on 11.13, and it also doesn't give you a base heal, which is pretty ridiculous since this is a skill that you go into most often, and you're actually lacking 35 HP every time you land your Q, which is you can definitely tell that's a little bit underpowered, and Moonblack going a little bit too deep.
Moonblack, he got baited by Jimmy in there. Does get his own wild growth off, but it's still going to be the first blood for the Akali. And Epic turns to grab
double,
one,
baby.
wants another.
Oh, no.
Jimmy in with the two. And we're in business from Machi.
How does this happen every single game? Why does Jimmy always get a double kill out of nowhere?
Don't
that
give
was just
this man Akali.
Moonblack just trying to force things a little bit too much. Like, he dropped the ward and still went in on it, thinking that he had enough time to just pull off the kill, but fast fingers on both these players, and Epic has to go and trade his flash in order to chase down that kill, and that's just disaster. Not worth on the side of Impunity.
No, all of a sudden 2 kills in Jimmy's pocket. Going to be very happy after all of that poke that he was forced to endure from Moonblack, and now things have changed just a little bit in this game.
This is still a much better early game in consideration to Impunity's usual early games. They haven't been faltering in the bot lane. That's definitely something you want to see from Impunity. Solo lanes are okay, you know, they're not that far behind. But the question for me is, how far can Trundle actually get ahead? The thing about Trundle is this is a champion that in most situations, if you're not very far ahead, you're not able to control objectives and force out the enemy jungle, then it's a pick that feels very useless. It's hard to force things on Trundle. And he's already 1 level behind Gemini. So I still think that we need to get a couple more kills or a couple more snowballs on the top side of the map for Impunity, or else this is still going to get to a phase where I think Machi X's 1-3-1 is going to overtake the situation.
Yeah, there's a bit of a timer there. Back over to Top King checking in. Since that first gank, he's actually not had to face too much more pressure. And I would like to see Gemini make a return up there just to try and snowball Likai ahead. But Machi are the ones with the tempo advantage at the time, and don't need to necessarily react to it. A lot of pings flying. Look at this. Both junglers in topside river. And a roam out from Smurf. They really want to make a play in this mid side. Koala's even coming up, and I don't know, Clement, we might be in for a bit of a party here. Moonblack, and Lantern's out, actually gets the follow in, and the flayback, Jimmyan was the one who got baited this time, but he is out, or is he? Pillar down, Hextech ultimatum, Jimmyan tried to 2-step, Epic will get traded back, and it is just a crazy old skirmish, and Top King teleports in out of nowhere.
Massive outplay coming in from Impunity. They were taking a 4v5, and they're able to come out with 2+ kills. I'm not even sure how Atlan died there, but he definitely did go down, and just as you said, G-Man just falling for the bait, Moonblack selling it really, really well, and Smurf, of course, there to land the death sentence plus the flip.
Yeah, I'll see if Impunity can turn that and even more here as they start off the Rift Herald. Let's take a look at that fight one more time. Moonblack definitely was taking notes from that last. I love this. Perfect execution on the other side.
Do want to keep close attention to how Atlan died. I wasn't really paying attention on him. And, he just runs into Top King out of nowhere, holds onto his flash, and has already used his E. He gets 2 auto attacks before falling down, and that's a very unexpected win for Impunity. They did not even rotate Blaze to the play and still got everything.
Yeah, sometimes you just get gifted a little bit, but I did like how that one first started, trying to get the gold off of Jimmyan. And Impunity definitely start to tilt things a little bit more. They managed to pick themselves up the Rift Herald for Epic, and the question is always, where are they going to use it? Ooh, here's Jimmyan again. Black with the ward out. That's the follow-through.
Now, with the leeching leer, he's just willing to go on Lulu every single time. Seems a bit much to sink the wild growth into that one. And I feel like for Impunity, I would like to see them drop the Herald on the bottom side. Getting Blaze ahead is probably still the go-to game plan here. Because this time around, Top King's not really on something that I don't feel like this can hard carry. It's just going to be very annoying and a lot of protection for the backline.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Epic coming up through mid lane and spots out Gemini. That'll stop that push before it happens. We'll see where that Rift Herald ends up going. Epic is holding on to it for a little while. Actually just taking their time about this one. Impunity are not in a rush.
Machi do find a small advantage off that rotation, being able to strip one plate down while Smurf rotates. Just talking about the previous team fight, I do want to point out that Top King did use his TP for that one, and that's one of the changes to Tahm Kench's kit, because the Abyssal Voyage, which is now his W, isn't an ultimate anymore. It has far more reduced range. It's a very small distance travel, and for the most part, the mechanics are different. You can only travel with someone you have devoured. So you can use your ultimate on your AD carry, and you are grounded, so you can't flash, but you can still use your W in that time frame to get out of things.
And Top King, yeah, that's the other problem. He just gets interrupted, and the whole game gets interrupted, Clement.
That was a bit of a weird play from Top King. I feel like he must have had some sort of a spike ping or something, because it seems really odd that he would try to use his W right in front of Camille. That can definitely stop him. So
yeah, I think that's probably what ended up happening. Well, we do get to dissect a little bit more of what's been happening. I think Impunity really making that play has probably changed a little bit of the Machi strategy. Of course, you could see that they went up to the top to try and apprehend him a little bit. But with Rift Herald off the map, for Machi, it seems like the next play is just try and keep themselves just a little bit ahead, or at least push themselves a little bit ahead by getting a couple of picks like that. And Top King may not be the easiest one to grab, but sometimes when you gank the teleport, it makes it a little easy. And we are back into the game. Top King will be going down with a heavy investment, as Li Kai will be the one that gets the kill credit. So it looks like Machi want to accelerate this.
Really nicely done. When you are playing a 1-3-1 composition, the most important thing is to open up the side lanes, and that's exactly what Machi are doing. They know that Li Kai is pretty far ahead at this point, and they're just willing to invest heavier into him. I like what Impunity are doing. As I've said before, I feel like the best bang for their buck on this Herald is definitely to get Blaze even further ahead of the curve against Atlan. They already have a 20+ CS on him because Atlan did rotate into his own death earlier, and now it's going to be even more as Blaze does pick up 500 gold on that play in total, 410 for the first brick, plus the plate, and then also a bit of gold on the other on the previous plate as well. So very nice rotation coming in from Impunity. I think both teams do get what they want in terms of advancing their game plan, but Impunity do get a bit further ahead because of the full tower.
Not only that, they'll take a nice little extra dragon off the top of it. That's going to be the mountain going down, which means we'll have an Infernal Rift after this. So Impunity, they're really playing well to what they want to do with the win condition in this game. We're starting to see Mystic items completed, or Mythic items, I should say, completed already. Talked about the Tahm Kench. There's that Frostfire. All done up. 13 minutes on that game clock, and yeah, Machi, they put a lot of people into that top side. Didn't even quite secure the tower. It was just about getting Top King down. That shouldn't be taking too much more damage before it will fall, but yeah, dare I say it, Clement, Impunity looking good.
Well, this is a much better game than all of their previous early games for sure. Impunity are going to set up the 1-3-1 in this case. They do have an interesting lane allocation, as we do see Tahm Kench trying to match up against Jimian, while on the other side, Moonblack being sent towards the top lane. Now, I haven't actually played against many Tahm Kenches, and we are on the live patch, so I'm actually kind of curious to see how this matchup goes, Top King versus Li Kai. We see Li Kai automatically going for the lane swap, so I assume Li Kai knows his damage numbers, and he's probably going to win out that trade in the bottom line. In the meantime, Smurf just overstepping in the river and getting his flash blown. But I'm really curious at seeing with the Frostfire whether Top King will be able to kind of kite Li Kai around and even just outstat him in the meta. Now, this is 11.13, so his numbers aren't that great, but I haven't seen that much of the matchup, so I'm really curious in how this one will go.
We'll definitely have to keep an eye down on the bottom if they commit to it. It does seem like Top King is not super keen to face off. Ooh, okay, Gemini's there, actually. So it won't definitely be a one-on-one. Now that's going to prompt Epic to go up top side, and they're going to try to bully out Jimmy in a little bit. See if they can find him. That's a very healthy turret, though. Tahm Kench not really able to have found a whole lot of push early on in this game. And we kind of have like an extended laning phase now. At least on side lanes.
That's what I love about 1-3-1s. I actually really enjoys these like small skirmishes and trying to fake out your opponent on whether you're actually coming in to do a trade or not. Looks like Top King does not want to leave his tower whatsoever. There are double pinks on his left side, so he's very aware that there is a potential for Xin Zhao just to appear at any moment. I still want to watch him trade a little bit. There are even levels. He is down by 20 CS, but hey, Tom Catch is Tom Catch. He's really obscene in the mid phases of the game.
And he's just trying to play it out as safely as possible. Top King certainly had some experience playing weak side lately, so putting that to good use. As there is another Rift Herald, and Gemini is going to start this one off. Priority here for the Machi side. But there are a lot of Impunity members nearby, so this is not the safest. He's going to back away.
I think if Impunity are fully grouped together, they should be able to take down this team fight. Machi, their lead is very small and very concentrated on Camille, who isn't tanky at all. So I like this play for Machi. I feel like it's much more to their advantage to just spread the map out, continue to get these long lanes going. And, you know, if Impunity want to spend time sinking into the Herald, we'll just casually go, try to get a steal with the Ezreal, but not really try to commit much more than that. And even just by pushing the side lanes, they actually force Impunity to give up ground. Impunity don't even have the confidence to go for this one, as Akali is going to get a pretty good collapse. So great play by Machi. They are very patient. They wait for the play to develop. They defend the push in the mid lane, and they get all the objectives for it.
Yeah, Machi really just kind of running circles around that objective gameplay, and now Gemini able to solo away on this next Herald. Impunity just didn't really know what to do in that moment. They lose out. Top tower was probably going to fall anyways, but still.
Yeah. I felt like Impunity should have just rushed the Herald at that point. Like, you're already here, Akali is showing herself, and you have a mid push, so I think they hesitated. They tried to get a little bit more down mid. They didn't start the Herald immediately, and, you know, that chances just sort of passed down. Machi do get a very sizable gold lead on Akali. Both of their solo laners are really fed at this point, and it's going to be hard for Impunity to really contest. They need to use every objective to get a 5v5 team fight in their favor, or else Machi can just drag the game out indefinitely.
And there is another big objective spawning in another 15 seconds. It will be that Infernal Dragon. They do a catch onto Jimmy looking for that Abyssal Dive, not finding anything really but a quick tongue lash. And Impunity, they certainly are hungry for the team fight. Pillar down onto Gemini. Epic's actually going to turn for this. Gemini does have his flash, and he felt confident enough to go into this one, but Epic will be able to shred him down in time. Atlan not able to dish enough damage onto the other side here. That's a double kill for the Trundle, and I do not think Machi were ready for it.
Yeah, Gemini still held on to his flash. I thought he was going to go over the Raptor pit, but he thought the Crescent Guard would be enough to keep himself alive. Definitely wasn't the case. And Impunity find a pretty easy 2+ kill lead into an objective. Well done.
Yeah, managing to grab that dragon. Now Blaze looking to chase down on Atlan, taking a little bit of damage on the way out. And you could see that Jimmy was waiting to see if he could pick something up. So bit of a miscalculation from the Machi jungler. I would have thought he would insta-flash that, but nope.
Yeah. Decided to stay around, and that was definitely the death of him. Blaze got a very good use of the Moonlight Vigil as well. Multiple members caught, and he does have the Thresh. This is why you always see the Thresh Aphelios combo. It allows you to get off a lot of hairy situations. And that's a strong win for Impunity coming into this one. They are on Drake Soul Point 2, and that's absolutely massive. That means that, Machi have to entertain a 5v5 before they get that Sturks gauge. The Sturks gauge is kind of the breaking point where Camille just becomes very difficult to deal with, and she can join team fights and survive most of the burst damage. But if you can force her into a 5v5 before that, then you do have a lot of opportunities to simply just burst her down and snowball the entire team fight. Jimmy is going to walk into Epic, but I think Epic is the one that has to run away.
Yeah, he does have a little help from Moonblack, so he's able to walk it out. Jimmy, though, definitely flexing a bit in this one. Feels very confident in his ability to hunt down the enemy jungler in that one. And the pressure is still on here. Machi pushing on 3 lanes with the 1-3-1. That is going to be the Rift Herald popped in that mid, and they will look to secure this one. Blaze, there's only so much he can do after this push comes through. Looks like they're actually going to be able to stop him before the tower does, but Machi going to look for Top King instead. Gemini on top of Hextech Ultimatum, and he's actually just going to turn around here, manages to completely dodge out of the True Shot Barrage, and now Gemini, he's got his flash. This time he ends up using it, but he's pulled back into the box, and there is nowhere for him to go but right back in. Blaze will claim the kill, and Impunity collapse with a death ball.
Yeah, great collapse coming in from Impunity. I love how they waited on that teleport just to see. They waited on the teleport until Gemini fully committed with the Audacious Charge and the Hextech Ultimatum came down. Then they TP. Machi have a really hard time running away, and look how much distance G-Man has to travel to make that one. He had to go cross map in order to join it. Didn't really want to burn his teleport since it was a pretty iffy play. To begin with, Gemini was caught out right from the start, and Impunity, can we call this catfishing? But it was really well done.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to bait it out a little bit, and Gemini certainly fell for it that time, burned his flash even after he'd held it in the previous engagement. I really like what they're doing in these team fights. You know, they're giving some attractive targets, but it's like, well, how do you burst down a Tom Kench? Come on.
At this point, I feel like Machi, they need to play for pick around the objective. They're gonna have full side lane control. Tom Kench isn't really a global champion at this stage anymore after his kit changes. So it means that there aren't easy ways for Impunity to walk up towards an objective. They pretty much have to walk all in the same lane together. That's most likely going to be mid lane, so it should give Machi a lot of opportunities to get poke or get picks off. They try, but don't find the target.
Yeah, a little bit used, and now you can see Moonblack sniffing. Smurf, that tries to go for the hook onto Gemini. He's been a lot more helpful on the lanterns, I think, than the hooks today, but that's why Thresh has a very balanced kit. He's got offense and defense.
I do like that Blaze is not going to go for the collector build. I still do favor the regular crit build a bit more here.
Ooh. Machi keeping waves pushed here, Clement. They're going to try to keep that Dragon Pit in the dark. We're a minute to go.
Yeah, we still have a lot of vision for Machi, and they can leverage this. They can come into the objective late and really start on only after Impunity has actually started touching the purple worm. So, you know, Machi definitely still keeping their priorities right. They're getting a lot of extra gold, but in the meantime, this mid lane tower, really important. Both objectives are going to be up, the Baron and the Drake Soul. So Impunity really can play towards both sides of the map. Even if they leverage off this Drake, they're still in completely fine position. It's just about which one is easier for them to make as a full team. That's the most important thing. They don't want to split up at this point. Their strength is definitely still the 5v5. And let's see which one they go for. Pick onto Atlan. Scaring him a little.
Members here. Top King with the teleport available. You can see Lee Kai also has his, and he is a lot closer to the squad. Last time around, it was a good catch on a Trundle Pillar. Epic has actually been really quietly setting up a lot of great plays this game. We'll see if that continues as the Ward Wars keep going on here, trying keeping the vision clear. And Gemini is the target, but maybe they're getting pincered here. Look at that. They've caught on to Epic. Now the Wild Growth does come through into the Thresh box. They go to try and get a more favorable position. Hextech Ultimatum, and they just get sandwiched as Gemini finds the double kill here, and they're just cleaning house. Machi Esports looking beautiful in that fight, and they do not lose a man.
Machi take a 5v5 and win with a perfect ace. What a disaster for Impunity. That was initially a pretty good chase, but they revealed their backside, and I think critically Moonblack actually used the Wild Growth on the wrong target right there. Used it a little bit early, so it doesn't really go on to Epic, as we see here. Let's see, yeah, it goes on to Blaze and then falls off before it can really make a difference. We see the Devourer come out, but honestly, Blaze doesn't survive long enough to get that much damage out. G-Man is on top of him right at the start of the fight. Atlan is able to keep himself alive, and that's just really unfortunate. Impunity give up their formation in order to chase Gemini. That just spells disaster for them.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a game of baits on both sides because Gemini just really beautifully led the team away from a good position. Seemed like there was some panic setting in for Impunity. Moonblack definitely did not use the Wild Growth on the right target in that fight. And as a result, they lose out on both the objectives that they could have been setting up for.
Oh, that is such a painful blow. Honestly, what Impunity should have done is just held their position there. They tried to fake the chase and then turn on the targets on the left side. I feel like that's the way you should have played it out. But instead, the entire team gives up the ramp. They walk into the river, giving themselves up to a lot of different flanking angles for Machi, and Machi take full advantage. They just go for the juggler, and it was really beautiful to watch them focus down target after target. Someone gets devoured, it's okay, we'll just focus another target here. Epic goes low, has to drop out of the fight, and then Blaze gets hit by all of the crowd control as well. So it's just a beautiful team coming out from Machi. I cannot praise them enough for pulling that off in a difficult situation.
Yeah, really, really good. Now they kind of reap the spoils of it all here as they push deep on both sides of the side lane. Another wave gets clipped here by Atlan's Ezreal, and it's just going to be hard for Impunity to match at this point. It's a lot of hard pressure on all three lanes, and the Machi 1-3-1 is just getting into full swing.
Yeah, Impunity also aren't a team with great engage. Essentially, they're waiting on a Thresh hook to happen, so everything on Smurf at this point. That's kind of the problem when you're playing mainly just a defensive front-to-back composition. Your comp isn't going to allow for a lot of these catch potential. So I find it pretty difficult to see how Impunity can get back onto the map. They likely just have to withstand the storm during this Baron buff, and they're going to be bleeding out all of their outer towers, that's for sure.
Yeah, not a lot they can do about it right here unless they found an insane angle.
Okay.
There is a Thresh hook, but it's onto Lee Kai, and he just hook shots away. And you can just see that they're kind of just hemorrhaging objectives a little bit. Impunity, not a lot they're able to do, just fishing for those hooks. They do find one more, and this time they might be able to get Koala, but he's able to pop a stopwatch, and a lot of investment onto him. He tanks it up for ages, but they finally get the kill. A second hook, this time into a polymorph, and they look for Gemini, but Gemini might have even found Smurf. He flashes away at the last moment, shut down. Epic managing to get the kill on this one, and they're starting to turn it, but it is hard fought. Jimmian looking for the escape here. Meanwhile, though, Lakai just says, that's fine, keep him busy, guys. Takes the inhibitor.
I feel like that was a bit of a bait from Machi, just going in one by one, trying to extend the time there. That was a great hook by Smurf, definitely what they needed there, the only source of consistent engage. Can they save the inhibitor? It's down to about 300 HP. It looks like they will able to draw aggro off of the minions and keep that one
just
alive. Huge play from them. I felt like the first pick, like Koala, that was definitely incidental. Great play from Impunity. And then Machi X kind of just threw Gemini into the fire. Like, you can last a long time. You got that gore drinker. Let's trade Gemini for a bot lane inhibitor. Yeah,
well, and with the Baron coming up in another couple of minutes as well, you know, I mean, that's a good side to crack open. I think that is worth.
Yeah, it definitely is. Sometimes these macro plays, like trading deaths for inhibitor, I actually feel like it is very much worthwhile. And just like you said, this is a very difficult situation. Impunity are going to get pushed in the bot side, which makes it really hard to then get into the Drake. Also very hard to control the second Baron as well. So we're going to see just Machi just group up and make sure that under no circumstances will Impunity be able to get that Infernal Soul.
Moonblack gets jumped on by Lee Kai, and into the Wild Growth he goes after that Hextech ultimatum. Lee Kai finding himself 1v2'd all of a sudden. Yeah, but he dished a lot of burst on a Moonblack.
Fun pillar coming out there from Epic. I believe it just caught the hook shot off guard, and you know, Lee Kai decides that he doesn't really need to chance it here. The main objective is still denying that Dragon Soul. And Impunity know that this is probably their one and only win conditions left in the game. They are going to hard force themselves towards the objective. There's a lot of wards there that they do have.
Lee Kai just keeps the pressure on. I mean, after that save on the inhib, he just takes it anyways, and he can walk out, probably scot-free. Even the collapse would have been hard to do up against a Camille, and this is that power of that pick. This is why they flexed it. Now, he sticks around a little long. Let's see if he's going to be able to make his escape. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is there. Flash following instantly. Lakai 1v3, hook shot, still walking, polymorph pillar. But the dragon's already been taken. Eyes were on the wrong prize, I think, if you're talking about Impunity as they look to teleport back. Meanwhile, the rest of the Machi squad moving in on this fight. Top King pops the gray health. And this is just chaos in the base.
So Machi trade another kill for Inhibitor in the top side, the Infernal Dragon, and Impunity have to use this chance to get some more kills, but they just don't have the engage. Finally, Topping coming in.
Yeah, he gets a 3-man knockup. That's going to be huge right now if they can actually get the wipe, but do they have the damage, the escape through the jungle? It's just too good. Meanwhile, the super minions are on the base. This is the desperate fight for Impunity. It's win here or go home. Gemini is going to be the one taken out, and that's not enough.
And this play might lead them to consider Baron here. Are there? There's still a TP on Lekai. Lekai could try to just finish the game. I like that they're sending Moonblack back to defend. They definitely need at least one member here. In the meantime, Atlan's still harassing them outside of the Baron pit.
There's the teleport. Jimmy's actually the one coming into this one. It's a 1v2 situation. They may take the Baron, but Clement, I think they're going to lose the game here. Last Nexus turret's going to fall. The Baron will finally go down, and all Koala and Atlan have to do is stop the backs. And this is going to be it. Machi will take the game.
That was a game where Impunity held their own in the early phases. They got to the point on Dragon Soul. It looked like Impunity was going to break the curse, but unfortunately for them, they play a disastrous team fight, just not keeping their formation, misusing their ultimates, and Machi just... I honestly didn't feel like they would come out ahead of this game. They had a pretty good early game in terms of like punishing Moonblack, the early 2v2 kills and all of that. But it seemed like the 5v5 was going to come online, and then it just had a complete collapse on their side. Just really smart play from Machi. We are seeing Lekai really mature. This is something we would not have seen in spring. Lekai was a rookie at that point. He was mainly just coming in after the wave was pushed in onto collapses, and they still played the 5v5 most of the time. But this time around, he's grown a lot more smart. He knows how to draw members away, and he knows when trading is profitable for his team.
That was just a masterclass in the 1-3-1. Once Machi were able to get ahead of the game, they just did not relinquish pressure for a single minute. And Impunity, they took bad trade after bad trade after bad trade. But there wasn't a lot of choice, it felt like. Just was Machi, after the Gemini bait, it just wasn't a lot that could be done. And that was such a decisive fight in their favor with so many blinking health bars, but they all survived to really turn that two-objective game. Machi, once again, proving why they were the solid third-place team of the spring split. It's looking like they are very well onto reclaiming at least that spot, if not more.
They started today with only 2 wins, but now they're up to 4, and that takes them into the pile with the rest of the 4-win team so far. So definitely in that top 4 range for now. On the flip side, Impunity do fall down to 0-5. I like their draft this time around. I feel like this was definitely a winnable situation. It was just that one team fight that was too big of a swing. It was a 5-0 wipe in Machi's favor, and they also got double objectives off of that. Very difficult to come back. The Baron buff also just means they get to strip all the outer towers, which I think there were still 2 at that point, so they get a 2k gold lead off of that. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. Like, once you can't get onto the map and use the objective to force team fights, then your comp just sort of falls apart for Impunity.
Yeah, I feel like they could have gone a little bit of a different direction in the top side as well. I mean, we did talk, we kind of harped on it really, that the Tom Kench is not quite as powerful as he is on 11.14. That wasn't necessarily the reason that Impunity lost this one, but I think something that could have dished a little more pressure and maybe allowed like a 4-1 might have worked a little bit better. I'm not sure, Clement. It's hard to say, but Impunity, I like what they're trying, but it's just so rough to see the losses start to mount for them. Has to be taxing on the mental. And of course, the player of the match is going to be Lekai. Really, the stats don't necessarily do what he was able to accomplish justice, although the goal differential at the end certainly looked good. Just drawing so much pressure away.
He solo took down 2 inhibitors in that game, and that allowed them to get uncontested Drakes and also, a win at the end after a contested Baron. So just leveraging this pressure, and this was something that I really wanted to see out of Lekai. I felt like he was a great laner, but wasn't a great split pusher in Spring Split. It's good to see that Machi are moving in the right direction and are able to fulfill the archetype of a 1-3-1.
Yeah, really good play from them. I'm excited to see more from this team, but we are going to go ahead and take a quick break when we return, the last game of the night, so don't go anywhere.